Who is he? Who is this man that is caught on video that was recovered by the FBI on the stoop, on the porch, on the front steps, on the walkway to Nancy Guthrie's home the night that she went missing, or the early morning hours that she went missing? That's really the question. He's wearing a mask. He's got gloves. He's got a backpack. And it seems like there's a potential that some clues may lead to his identification. But they've got to be in full gear at this point. It seems like identifying the man behind the mask becomes job number one. But there are some other things happening that we're going to talk about here, including a rift potentially, like the cliche rift between the locals and the feds, like the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff, apparently not sharing everything, not working 100% in sync with one another, which to me is insanity. But that's potentially what's happening. There is reporting from more than one source on that. So we'll talk about that. I am Vinny Politan, lead anchor for Court TV, along with Albert H. Wunsch III.
Hola, Tangenistas, and happy Friday the 13th.
Indeed. And also with us is the radio legend, the one, the only, Jonesy.
Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Great to see everyone. This is a Friday, so you know what's going to happen in just a moment. The Friday soundtrack. This is the Tangent Podcast.
Vinny and the Tangents, True Crime Podcast. Vinny has the blue eyes, out cracks the jokes. Jonesy stays behind his shades, entertaining all the folks. It's Vinny and the Tangents, True Crime Podcast. Load up all your comments, hit those super chats. Let's go smash that like button, so we can all have a blast. Vinny, Alan, Jonesy on the job. They're the Sugar Hill Gang of true crime. They're telling stories of days gone by. They take crime and turn into a good old time. It's Vinny and the Tangents, True Crime Podcast.
All right, welcome to everyone, wherever you are. And everyone is so, I've never, we've seen big stories. This is one of them. This is one of those monster stories. By the way, Jennifer Bowerson over on Facebook watching, echoing you, Al, that it is in fact Friday the 13th, but maybe it'll be good luck for investigators at this point.
If I could just throw this question out to you gentlemen, okay? What is your preference on the horror film genre, Friday the 13th or Halloween?
Halloween.
I'm a Friday the 13th guy, and I'll tell you why. Okay, Friday
because
13th,
we like Halloween. That's why you're a Friday the 13th
Halloween.
guy.
Well, I mean, Halloween did come out first. That was 1978. Friday the 13th came out in 1980. But Friday the 13th is a New Jersey film.
Yeah.
It was filmed in New Jersey. Okay, Betsy Palmer lived in Englewood, New Jersey. She's the woman that played the mother of Jason. And it was filmed at Camp Novi Bosco in Blairstown, New Jersey. Okay. And I had an opportunity. My 6th grade trip was a week at this place. It's a Boy Scout camp, and they still offer, it's still an active Boy Scout camp, but they do have private tours that you can go through that raise money to restore the place for Friday the 13th. And you can go to the exact, all those cabins are still there. They show you where the movies were filmed and everything else. So it's actually very good. So because it's a Jersey film, I have to go with Friday the 13th.
Got it. Well, Friday the 13th was too scary. Listen, Nina Asandra is asking or saying, no cooperation between the two law enforcement entities will make this case be cold longer than it should be. And this is what we're hearing. And I was shocked when we heard it.
But
let me give you the genesis of it. There was a glove found inside the home. A glove found inside the home that the FBI wanted to send down to Quantico for analysis, and the sheriff said no and sent it to a private company down in Florida. Like, why would you do that?
Well, I think that the FBI then took a step back and agreed with him that sending it to Florida was the better move, because that company has a vast DNA analysis that they can do, and that both sides are standing up and saying we're not fighting with each other, that we are getting along, and that we have one goal, and that's to bring back Nancy Guthrie.
That sounds like it's response to the reporting on what's really happening, but it could be what's really happening. But if it is, that is an absolute shame. There's also reporting that, like, on the ground, nobody knows who's in charge. You've got all these people, and like, who's in charge? We really don't know who's in charge of the investigation. I would think it's the sheriff, because usually it's the sheriff's in charge, and then you bring in the FBI to help to supplement your investigation. But this Pima County includes Tucson, but Tucson has their own police department. So Pima County handles 5 red rum cases a year. So, like, they may be very good, but I don't think they have everything that they need. There was some criticism that they brought them in a little bit late in all of this, waiting a few days, that they released the crime scene like a day later, 24 hours after, or like 30 hours or so afterward, the crime scene was released. So there's a lot of things that people are talking about, but we've got amazing evidence that they were able to get. You look at this image of the man, FBI got that. They were, digging through forensically all the digital 1s and 2s that are out there, and we're able to get this, even though Nancy wasn't paying to have this stuff recorded. And we've got an image of the guy. From that image, they say he's between 5'9" and 5'10", medium build. So,
well, what's interesting is that showing that the guy did not have the smarts, as Foghorn Leghorn would say, by disconnecting the camera, the last image was locked in. So even though she didn't have the subscription just means that it would be preserved, but the camera shuts off because the power circuit is down. So the last image in the camera was still trapped. And that's why we get the pictures that we did of the individual who's putting weeds up, trying to hide himself with that. And they're trying to orchestrate, the disconnecting of this camera. So he ended up screwing himself by doing what he did.
What do you think he's doing right here? I'm looking at this, trying to figure out what's going on right here in this moment where he turns and bends. Like, what's going on right there? I'll watch that again. Take a look.
Looks like he's looking for something down, maybe to smash the camera or something to hit it with, or something.
It looks like he's tugging on his pants a little bit.
Well, he's got the gun in a very weird position for anyone that's ever worn a holster. I mean, the last place you kind of put it is right in the center of your belt, so that your gut is like right on top of it. And if you're bending over, it's pushing into 2 fairly sensitive areas.
I don't think
one above the waist.
I don't think he's looking for anything, because he's not going to find anything inside. If he's going to try to break the camera, well, that would be outside the the entrance there, wouldn't it?
Well, that's why he goes back out there. But I think you look down first. Is there something here I can use to cover that up or do something along those lines? And when he sees nothing, that's when the move is to go back out, and then he comes in with the.
Well, when he walks in, he's hunched. But I assume the reason he's doing that is to keep his face down from the camera.
He's got a mask on. I mean,
right, but you still have parts exposed.
And you know how they got his height is they measured it from the arch.
Yeah, that surprised me that they measured the area. I would have thought that they could have just figured that out, otherwise, without actually doing physical measurements. I would have thought that they would be able, the computers would be able to figure that out.
Well, no, I don't know if you could do that. I'm not sure you could do it that way. That's why, it's funny. If you ever go into a 7-Eleven,
yes,
you take a look at the door. Okay, other than the sign that says "Put it back, thief," they have your height.
Yeah. It's always a
demarcation
it's
on
always
the
a
door.
reassurance when you're at you're at a place that has to take the precaution of putting putting that up
Yeah.
for
Every other
any
store has like, have a nice day. Thank you for your
right.
patronage. They're the only ones that have a sign that says "Put it back, thief." Okay,
Yes.
and they have your height as soon as you walk in and your height as soon as you walk out, for the purposes of identifying you later on. In a police lineup.
Yeah. Vinita Sharma has a great question over on Facebook. Got a lot of folks on Facebook today. Welcome to everyone. How did he get inside her house? Like, they haven't made that public.
No, that has not been made public.
So how did he get inside? And I think that's a big deal, right? That was a big deal in the case in Columbus, Ohio, involving the Monique and dentist. And we still don't know the answer to that necessarily. We don't know the answer to this at this point. So the fact that they found a glove inside, to me, is huge, right?
Absolutely.
Because if you're wearing a glove, and let's take a closer look at the gloves. Thanks so much, Vinita. Let me make this as big as I can here, because when you look at his gloves, right? Do you think it's one set of gloves, or does he have layers of gloves?
It looks awfully
Like,
big.
is that latex over like another glove?
I'm not sure. I can tell you this: it looks like his gloves are too big, which is, usually they're very skin tight. There's a lot of, baggage on that, which may lend it to believe that maybe there's more than one glove on there. But it does, generally when you're wearing gloves like that, they're skin tight, and it's right on you.
Yeah.
And that's not the situation. In fact, it's like almost baggy.
It's also not practical because, when you usually have regular gloves on, some tasks become difficult to do. If you have oversized gloves, that just makes it even harder.
Like to use your weapon that he's got on his holster.
Right, like using the weapon or like handling the camera or
everything's weird. And I'm trying to understand if it's layered or not. Like, is it a puffy glove, or is he wearing a glove over a glove? Right? So if you wear a glove over a glove, then you're not going to have the DNA necessarily on the inside of the outside glove.
Correct.
And they did find a glove, what is it, 1.5 miles from the home?
Right.
That was discarded on the main thoroughfare out there, North Campbell Road, on the side. Looked like it was a distance where it would be tossed from a window.
But see, now this is where now the 41-minute situation becomes even more complex to me, because how he leaves a glove there, or we're assuming that maybe he left the glove there, and you had 41 minutes to patrol the area, to maybe wipe down any DNA that would be possibly there, wipe down any fingerprints that could be there, and then he leaves a glove. And 41 minutes demonstrates to me that obviously he wasn't in a rush, which is one of the other things you see ordinarily in these types of crimes, is a person that's in a hurry to get out of there, and he's in there for 41 minutes and then leaves a glove. That's a very interesting,
it's also 41 minutes is an eternity when you're in a situation, when you're in a dangerous situation or a volatile situation. I mean, that's a long, long time.
All right. So this sketch is now floating around. I think it's an unofficial sketch based upon these images. What do you think?
So where's the sketch from?
Kind of looks like a young Jonesy.
It does have a Jonesy look to it. It really does.
Where were you, sir?
I was never able to shave that area like on the sides there. Like he looks that goatee looks.
It could be your son, Jonesy. It could be your son.
I don't have any.
Are you sure? Have you ever been to Tucson? Maybe one night in Tucson?
I'm positive. I've kept cabs on anybody I've ever been with.
Okay. Well, he's got a list.
Yeah, that sounds very comforting.
Well, I mean, I know them still, essentially.
Okay.
Okay. All right. That's
So what do we give any credence to this?
well, you have to kind of give it some credence because, I mean, these guys that do this kind of work,
Well, I don't think this is from police. I think this is an unofficial.
So where did they come up with the goatee? Is there some hair sticking out of the mask?
Well, look at the pictures. Look at the pictures.
yeah, the pictures definitely show that there is something.
There's like that top left photo. Like
the
I
top
see.
left. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I see I see the soul patch area and the mustache area, unless it's painted on like Groucho Marx. Like some people were thinking it was a woman.
I never got that when I watched the video originally. I immediately thought it was male.
I don't, that's the first time I'm hearing the woman situation. And
Some people are saying that the sketch looks a little bit like the bandmate, but the bandmate's actually a little bit older now. Like some of the pictures of the brother-in-law Tommaso's bandmate, a lot of people have been using a photo that is kind of old to compare it to this, rather than a recent picture of the bandmate who's, a little bit, he's starting to dye some of his hair the same color as me, that I dye my hair.
Guys, you dye it gray, right?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Gives me credibility. The eyebrows look too big, they're saying. Now, do you think the eyebrows are manicured, or is the mask covering the top half of the eyebrows?
I don't think they're manicured. There's nothing with regards to the way this guy is dressed that demonstrates to me he's getting his eyebrows done. Okay, I'm sorry, but
I'm with you on that.
He's certainly not stylish, and the Walmart backpack doesn't help the situation. I think it's probably shedding part, shy. It's probably hiding part of the eyebrows.
Now, Jericho 8 saying female eyes. Do you find those eyes dreamy? Like, to me, that's the test. Yeah, they look kind of I don't know. They don't look. I think it's the lighting, and I think maybe someone has, the dark eye and may have some full eyelashes that may throw that off a little bit. So they may have nice eyelashes, but I know I have friends with nice eyelashes who are not women.
Thank you.
There you go.
But
Everybody thinks that the eyebrows are thin here. Emily Parkinson, 9523, very thin eyebrows.
I don't think he's getting, but the thin eyebrows to me then would point more towards a woman, but I don't think they're thin, and because he doesn't strike. Like I said, that outfit does not equate itself to someone who's taking care of his eyebrows.
Kelly McCullen says, eyes look very female, mustache looks fake. It's all capital letters. So.
Could be an older Italian woman, and the mustache may not be fake.
Yeah. Does the mustache look fake? Like, so here's the thing with that, right? That would be like next level genius, and I don't think this person's a genius.
No, the person's not
right?
a genius.
Like, listen, I know I'm wearing a mask to disguise myself, but I'll put on a mustache under the mask to make them think it's a man.
Yeah, I don't think that person's going to go to the point of like now putting on a disguise before you put on a mask.
Right.
I think that's a little.
I think it would be genius. I think it'd be a great idea.
Yeah, but I
think it would also become a skew, if that's proper terminology, when you pull a mask over it.
Yeah.
If you have it like adhesed.
Although you know what? Here's a scenario. If it was indeed a woman, that might be the reason why she got in, banging on the door saying, "Please, I need help. I need help." A woman banging on the door. Nancy may have been a little more apt to open up the door, hearing a woman's voice.
So what you're saying, oh, hearing a voice, but keeping the mask on.
Right. Hearing the voice is that, hi, oh my God, my car broke down, or there's someone chasing me or something along those lines. And I would think a person would be a little more apt at that time of night to react, with a woman knocking on the door as opposed to a guy going, I need help. Get me in. My car broke down.
If a woman were knocking on my door at that hour and needed help, I'm not sure that I'd even open it. I think I might just say, I'm calling authorities.
No, and you know what? That ordinarily might be the response, but she's an 84-year-old woman who hears a damsel in distress who may be willing, at that point to be trusting. I mean, that area doesn't lend itself to being an area that to me seems like, there's no fences around all these houses. Okay. And, it might be a scenario where a damsel in distress situation where she instinctively opens the door.
Now, McSpunky, 6.9. Great to see McSpunky. Thank you so much. Saying Betty Davis eyes. That's next level eyes. And like the Betty Davis eye signature is there's a lot of, like, you see, they're so wide that you see even the white underneath the pupil, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're getting that. And maybe McSpunky is being funny.
I think it's just basically the song reference, right?
Yeah, because
as opposed to Marty Feldman eyes.
I'm not going to put those up. We don't have enough room on the screen. Great to see McSpunky today. I'll just let you know we're not doing theme songs today, but normally I would. McSpunky, thank you so much. Great to see you. So let's get back to this sketch here. Yeah, I see that these pupils are actually pretty big, but the pupils would be big because it's dark, right? So your pupils are going to get bigger.
That's right.
So
your eyes are
here we go. This is what Amy Smart is saying, and she's smart. We know Amy is smart. She's a smarty.
Maxwell Smart.
Indeed. Wait a minute. I got to get this in a different mode. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Hey, Vinny, the reason people said the woman because the individual's eyes looked a little feminine with dark lashes and dark inner eyelid. Okay.
Could be J.D. Vance.
Right here. I couldn't help but think of that when you said eyeliner.
So it could be who?
J.D. Vance.
The guy liner.
Yeah. Oh, the guy liner underneath. Well, some people are born with that. And I don't know. I think everything gets a little thrown off because it's the night vision camera. Have you ever taken a picture of yourself at night and then you sort of brighten it up and everything's a little weird in night vision? That could be part of what's going on here. But it's definitely dark. And the sketch they've made, has someone with darker skin, I think a little deeper than olive. So might not be Italian. I wonder how they decided on the part.
The hair.
Yeah, that's an interesting question on that. But so a 5'9", 5'10" woman obviously is a tall woman.
Yeah.
That's another interesting fact on that. I mean,
that would be a tall. What is that? Tall glass of water? Is that what they said?
A tall glass of water.
I don't think that's a 5'10" woman. I mean, 5'10" women. There are some, but there's not a ton of them.
No. Brooke Shields, other Jersey.
Right. Brooke Shields' eyebrows they were thick. So
yeah, they were thick. Yep.
It's definitely not her.
Now that I think about it, I don't think that this person walks like a woman either.
Right.
Yeah.
To me, the telling one is I look at this the picture here of the 4 photos, bottom left-hand corner. I think that's the best look at a man. That's a man. May have hazel eyes.
Possible.
But if you have dark features, you can have the dark underliner and nice dark lashes. So I think that also helps us with the age as well.
That's the interesting question is the age aspect of it. That the use of the backpack, is certainly not our generation.
No, we had book bags.
Yeah, but I mean, like nowadays, you see even executives that are between the ages of like 25 and 40 carrying backpacks
Yeah.
to
When
go
I
to
worked when I
meetings.
worked in Manhattan and would walk to work and stuff like that, I did indeed use a backpack for many years.
You did?
Eventually I opened it up and I realized that there was actually nothing I needed in it. You know.
Did you fully strap yourself? Because anytime
Yeah,
I have a backpack, I use it as my carry-on.
yeah,
When
I
I
did.
fly,
I did.
but I never put it fully on, like I'm walking on campus. I
So
just sort of one shoulder or carry it with my hand.
I had
I
it
think
on both, but I would walk to work like 40 blocks, so like that would be the most comfortable way for me to wear it. I would prefer to have used an attaché case or something like that, but I felt a little goofy. I mean, it wasn't an executive or anything.
I see lawyers walking in, like 30, 35
Yeah,
year
all
old
all the
lawyers
time now,
walking
right?
in with a backpack strapped onto them and walking into the courtroom with their suit.
Right.
well, I
And
think it's probably they have their laptop.
yeah, meanwhile, I'm bringing in a matched set of luggage with all the stuff I'm bringing into a courtroom. But
Yeah.
my associate wears a backpack.
All right. So what's in his backpack? Like what's in it? Because it's jam packed. It is
Well, that
so full.
Well,
What is in it?
restraints of some sort, right?
obviously there'll be
Blindfolds,
that
things like that.
Think it was a tarp?
Oh, I hope not.
a possibility, but I think there might also be cleaning supplies.
Yeah.
Nefertitis F. Fajord.
Change of clothing, perhaps, right?
Didn't GSK get in trouble for burglary when he was a deputy? I don't know who GSK is. Who is GSK? I'm not sure. I'll have to get you back on that one. And Lena Wasserman, also watching on Facebook today, transient.
No,
Transient.
Well, that is a way. We have a lot of transients and homeless that live on the beach in Asbury Park, and one of the ways you can spot them is an oversized backpack because all of their possessions are on their back. So I understand what they're saying in that regard.
Pussycat TV pajamas. Pajamas in the back.
Brute.
Thank you to Layla.K. You think he has a car in that backpack?
well, that's the
deal
interesting
with
question.
the car?
You don't
Where's
see
the car?
Yeah, where is the car?
Yeah.
How far from the car did he park? Oh, GSK's Golden State Killer. I got you. Thank you, Jason Jensen.
I thought it was
Thank
Greg
you.
Scott Kinnear.
Great Scott. Golden State Killer. Thank you, Jason. Yeah, everyone's doing Golden State Killer. Come on, Vin, get with the program. I thought it was someone connected to the case. That's what I was trying to figure it out.
That's interesting, though, that the car situation, which may mean that there was some sort of a device for contact in the bag, and a driver was summoned to be brought to the place. So this one goes in first, and then says when everything gets done.
With what? Not with a phone.
Well,
Walkie-talkies?
Walkie-talkie.
I can never get my walkie-talkies to work.
Yeah, nowadays they do work. Nowadays they're almost like a phone. But I mean, a walkie-talkie could do it. Or, I mean, I can tell you this: a number of times I've had, calls to Ubers where I waited for 41 minutes before they showed up. So
he didn't Uber out of there. No,
I know that. But what I'm saying
if I had a device to call the getaway car, I want it to be handy in case things go awry and I have to get out of there immediately. I wouldn't want to be, like taking my backpack off and unzipping. Like I'd want it in my pocket or something.
Yeah, but it's an 84-year-old woman, Jonesy. It's not like you're talking about you're going into the First National Bank.
But something went awry. Something
could
went awry.
go
She's
awry.
bleeding on the way out.
Somebody could pass by, spot you.
Yeah. So here's what police are asking neighbors for: their video. Now, publicly they've said video from like the beginning of January through the beginning of February, right? But some neighbors have said that they're focusing in on January 11th and the day of the abduction. January 11th at night, like between 9 and midnight. Why are they focusing on those times? They have something that is leading them to really be concerned about those times, but they are also publicly in what they've posted looking for, a wide range of video. And if in fact this January 11th is connected in some way, what way is it connected? How do they know it's connected? Why do they think it's connected? Let me tell you one thing that I'm reading online. Unconfirmed, obviously, like everything else online. But someone posted that they had spoken, and it may be true. I have no idea. That they had law enforcement sources, but this just didn't come out like on one of the networks or even TMZ. That one of the working theories is that the family was trying to scare her because they didn't want her living alone anymore in that house.
Wow.
And that there was a prior attempt that didn't work. I don't know. That is some demented thinking, if that's true. I mean, to do that, to want to scare an 84-year-old mother so she'll sell the house, to me is sociopathic.
That's dark.
That is dark. I can't and what they're saying is that, went to scare and then things went awry inside. And there was something that happened. The other thing that I'd like to see is the data from the pacemaker up until the point that the pacemaker disconnects, which is around 2:28 a.m. Is she alive? Is there any sort of a cardiac event before 2:28? Could that tell the story? But investigators already have that information, I would think.
Right. That would absolutely.
And they would know if she was alive when she was taken or not alive when she was taken, or if there was some sort of cardiac event or activity that was discernible from the information that was being sent from the pacemaker to the app.
Well, if that masked man walked into my room in the middle of the night, I'd have a cardiac event.
Right. It's scary. It's real scary. Plus, got the gun also, the nug.
Yeah.
By the way, folks, we're live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and on X. And we got over 3,000 watching live now. Great to see everyone on this Friday as the search continues. I asked this question on my show last night. I think it's an interesting question. Is this man in this video, is he watching all of this coverage?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. You always see that they're watching, they're keeping an eye on things. The same reason why, some advanced criminals keep a police radio so they can hear what's going on.
Now, I would be concerned. I would, if I were this guy, and I'm not ever going to be this guy, but I would be watching all the coverage. But I would also be concerned that people are watching me watch it. I mean, the thing is, everybody's watching it, right? Everybody's watching it. But you might look for a person from a certain area who seems particularly obsessed or whatever, and then just check into them a little bit. So I would be concerned about that, and also it being used as evidence against me afterwards. But, I'm sure they're watching.
I don't know. My biggest fear in this entire thing is that Nancy is no longer with us.
It's not looking good.
The no proof of life that's going on throughout this entire thing is a very telling sign. And anyone who studied, prior abductions and things along those lines, Proof of life is the bargaining chip. It's the bargaining chip. It's the thing that gets the ransoms paid. It's the thing that gets.
If you believe the ransom is connected.
I don't believe that ransom is connected.
Right.
I mean, from the beginning, I have said a couple of things in this. When we first started on this story, I mentioned that I didn't think it was a kidnapping. Okay, I mentioned that I didn't think that those ransom notes were legitimate. I said that I was the one that first said that Bitcoin was extremely traceable. It was a very foolish thing to do. We were really on the cutting edge on most of these issues that now they're all jumping on and talking. I've seen that there was an FBI guy going, well, we don't think this was a kidnapping. I said that from the beginning. Okay, there's just something in this that doesn't ring true. And then when the statement was given by that we will pay, I told you that it didn't seem natural and that there was a code word being used. And now all of a sudden they're going, yeah, there was a code word being used. And I said the word celebrate, and that word there, the FBI is saying, yes, that was a code word that was being used at that point in time. This case does not make any sense, but it also doesn't give me a feeling that we're going to ever see this poor woman again alive.
All right. Well,
I hope I'm wrong. I'm wrong. But I mean,
you're this man watching all this coverage. Do you think that he had any idea that it would turn into this? Because now you are the most wanted person, maybe not on the FBI's top 10, but like you are the one that the entire nation wants to see caught right now. Like how could you should be out of the country at this point.
And he very, very well may be. Okay. But what, the thing on this is he abducted the mother of a woman who is on one of the most powerful networks in the country. Okay. A woman that has maybe is not the extent of fame as like say Schwarzenegger or something like that, but a woman who is known and has access to all of media and knows.
How did you pick Schwarzenegger out of the air when you were coming up with someone that's like more famous than Savannah Guthrie? How does Schwarzenegger
is more famous than Savannah Guthrie? I think that Stallone is more famous than Savannah Guthrie, but I think that Savannah Guthrie has something that is. She has access to every type of media, okay, because of her profession and because of her friends. She has a ton of friends and with good reason, because she's a very, very dear, nice person. But what I'm saying is that you take a person, if he took my mother, okay, I wouldn't have that kind of access. I might get on every now and then, but I'm not going to have NBC talking about this every day.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to
be exclusive.
All of these other networks jumping on because they all know Savannah. And
right. I get it why it's happening, Al, but I don't think this person is that bright.
Well,
I don't think they understood what they were stepping into. Why would anyone step into a hornet's nest like this and be a marked man for the rest of your life? Now that it's so public, there's so much demand for justice, you cannot sleep a night for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life, you'll be looking over your shoulder. So I can't believe that this buffoon, first of all, has gotten away with it to this point, but had any idea what the reaction was going to be to this particular case. And what's happening now in the public and in all the news organizations, the talk shows, the radio shows, obviously in social media, that everyone is now spending some moments in our world that we live in every day talking about these stories and these cases. And everyone makes fun of true crime, or the people on the outside make fun of true crime. Like they look down, some people look down on it, right? Especially in the media world. Well, now they're all getting a taste of it and they understand why this is why it resonates. And the other part of it is that these are real people, these are real cases, real emotions, real tragedies, real stories, and everyone at the end of the day wants to seek real justice in all of this. So I hope it's an eye-opener for all the folks who've been looking down at the true crime world as being, oh, whatever, those people. Like, this stuff is actually important, and it's relatable as well. I mean, everyone now is reacting in some way to, oh my goodness, my elderly parent lives alone. Have I done everything I can to keep them safe? Right. So I think that is a part of the conversation to all of this. And obviously, stories are always bigger when there are celebrities connected to it. But I don't think this person had any idea what they were stepping into.
I think the level of speculation has made the true crime community look bad, because I myself am appalled at some of the things that I read that are speculation about what has happened. Some of it is just downright upsetting to read. I mean, people.
In what way? In what way? In implicating people directly, or in
implicating people directly. People saying things about Savannah herself. Just all sorts of stuff that, like I said last week, in news stories, I have a heart of stone, but there's just something about, we know her, and that's a part of it. But to see the speculation that's going on, some of it is just so outlandish and upsetting.
And I think that's on the outer edges. In any world, any community, you've got extremes on the outer edge. Absolutely.
Small, loud group.
So here's no name for you, W3I, watching on YouTube. That sheriff botched this investigation at first. Sure. Are you in that? Are you in that boat that for sure it was botched?
No, I don't think it was ever an abduction for the purposes of kidnapping.
No. Did he botch the investigation? The sheriff?
Did the sheriff? No, I don't think so. I think that the sheriff. Look, it's very easy to be a Monday morning quarterback with regards to what goes down when you're a small force with minimal experience in this kind of stuff. I mean, I do think that there is, that there was some issues about the investigation that were not complete. I don't say botched, but I say not complete. They didn't look on the roof. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. You see a tent going up now. When there's a tent going up, that generally means they found something that they want to preserve and they don't want it to be exposed to the elements. So that's why they have a tent going up. So it was not a complete investigation, and I don't think it was a thorough investigation. I do not believe, though, it was a botched. These are still professionals, despite maybe the fact that they don't have the kind of experience that the FBI does or someone from a more metropolitan police department would have. But I do think that it was not as complete as it should have been.
I actually, when I saw press conferences held by him, I actually thought he was doing fine.
He was very upbeat, that's for sure.
What's going on with this guy's mouth? Is that just a light reflection?
I think it is a light reflection. I mean, I've
weird.
Going through it. It is really weird.
Does he have really white teeth? Like, what would make it that white? Like the eyes, right? So the pupils of the eyes are reflecting some form of light in all of this, but then like his mouth, it's weird. It's really weird.
Yeah, I think it's reflection.
Well, it's also what you said about night cameras.
Some people think he's got a flashlight in his mouth. Beautiful, messy ball. Great to see you. Beautiful, messy ball. Could be a flashlight, a little mini flashlight. It's strange. So let me play something. I'll play a little Harvey Levin from yesterday from TMZ.
TMZ has obtained a second email from the man who claims to know the identity of Nancy Guthrie's kidnapper. We told you yesterday that this man sent us an email saying that he will reveal the name if he gets 1 Bitcoin. We checked the account all day. He did not receive anything. The account is bare. So this morning, just after 8 a.m. Pacific time, he sent us this other email complaining that he is not being taken seriously. He says that he wants the Bitcoin, which is worth around $67,000, for several reasons. Number one, he says by coming forward, he will become as he puts it, a national rat. He also says, and this is a quote, he doesn't want to be, quote, incriminated like that guy Carlos. Remember, Carlos is the delivery man who was taken into custody a couple of days ago. Briefly, he was detained and then released. He says that he fears retaliation if he comes forward, and that he needs the Bitcoin because he's going to have to lay low after coming forward. And then he talks about a difference between yesterday and today. And we are not going to get specific about what he's talking about. It is chilling what he is insinuating here. But we have told law enforcement we're not going to get specific about that. But he makes it very clear here that this will be his second and last attempt. We have checked the Bitcoin address that he sent us. By the way, the one from yesterday and today, they are the same. And we checked the Bitcoin address just before I'm shooting this and talking to you. And again, there is nothing in that Bitcoin account, at least right now.
Well, first of all,
there's a $100,000 reward out right now, which is more than the $67,000 for the one Bitcoin. Okay, so that destroys this guy's whole argument. If the FBI was involved, if the FBI, gets this information, the man will be protected. There's no doubt about that. Okay, so I don't know where he's coming from. This is another crackpot.
Yeah.
It's a telephone, telegram, tell TMZ. That is the quickest way to get stuff out there. But what a stupid note. I want one Bitcoin and I'll tell you where this guy is or who this guy is. Very, very peculiar. And under the circumstances, with $100,000 already out there, it defeats everything this guy is trying to state in that stupid letter.
And this thing about being a national rat is ridiculous. He'd be a national hero.
Hero. He'd be a hero.
He'd have a book deal. He'd be on every talk show.
He'd get a radio show. Everybody else does.
A podcast. You get a podcast. You get a radio show. You get a podcast.
And you get his own form of, Bitcoin.
All right. Caius Posthumus Turinus, 1024. Thank you. Like the dog lady contaminating the scene today. Yeah, apparently there was and my friend Phil Holloway, who's there for Megyn Kelly covering this, posted that there was a picture of a lady, I think, speaking with an FBI agent from the neighborhood with her dog. And then Phil said, yeah, the dog also went to the bathroom on the crime scene. It's really the craziest thing about this story, and what makes it so different, I think, for the true crime community and everyone else, is that the investigation is almost like every day is a new episode of like a show that we're watching in real time. When the FBI is searching for stuff, the members of the media, YouTube, big corporate media, everybody is following the FBI as they're doing it. Like as they found that glove, the New York Post videographer was there, like in real time, watching the collection of evidence in a case. Like this case is different on many levels, and a lot of the clues are coming from different places. Like TMZ got this image of a guy in the middle of the night with backpacks, and one looked similar to this backpack. He's been cleared, but it became part of the investigation. People were posting on my group something from, like Ring doorbell cameras have like a community where they share videos with each other. And apparently, like in the middle of January, there was someone without a ski mask, but like moseying around on the front stoop of someone's house at like 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And there's an image of that person. So I'm sure investigators have that. There's so like the whole community is involved in the investigation now, and it's all playing out in real time. And we know that they know more than we do, but they're getting information from the public. And this is how it should work. Like in all of these, in a lot of these unsolved cases, in a very local way, right? Like not all of them are going to garner, coast to coast around the globe attention like this one. But if there is someone missing in whatever city you live in, the local news should be all over it. Their digital team should be all over it.
And
everyone should be involved. Everyone should be doing anything and everything they can to assist law enforcement in finding it. But sometimes these stories don't get the oxygen that they need.
Ben,
Well,
you
a lot
do
of communities
segment.
don't.
I was going to say you do a segment that is, this individual's missing, young individual kid missing or something along those lines. We don't see anything like that. We're seeing this because it's Savannah Guthrie, okay, and she has a connection to news media, and she has a connection to most of the people who are making the reports on this story, and that's why it's at this level. And you're right, it's basically a documentary film that's being done, because everywhere the FBI or the police go, there's a camera crew following them and is basically making film of everything going down. So there is going to be a number of documentaries coming out of this, or productions coming out of this. And you're right, it should be happening with other people. It does not happen. Okay, this is unique. Okay, this is rare. And it's tragic that it's not the norm. Okay, it is the exception. And that's because of her status as a celebrity. And I mean, albeit I see people saying that, my daughter doesn't know who Savannah Guthrie is and this one doesn't know. It doesn't matter. Channel 4 knows who she is. NBC knows who she is. Okay, NBC, ABC, CBS, every one of them knows who she is. Okay, she was supposed to be dealing with the Olympics, so you would have seen her a lot more active around those times. She's involved with everything with NBC, from the lighting of a Christmas tree to the Thanksgiving Day parade. Okay, she is in the limelight, and all of these people count her as a friend. So we're seeing this kind of response.
Yeah. As far as the local news media is concerned, you had mentioned that they should be involved in things like this. Sadly, in a lot of communities, there isn't much local news media left, and if there is, they're skeleton staffs, and that business ain't what it used to be.
That's true.
But what they also don't understand is the interest in these stories and how the community wants to jump in and help.
Sure.
It's a chicken and an egg thing, right? Like, why is this a big story? Is this a big story because we're all covering it? Or is it a big story because everybody wants to know what's happening, right? And it's kind of a little bit of both happening here. But on those other stories, there's no public outcry for, we want to hear more about this. That's one where you have to generate the interest by covering the story, but they don't understand that because it's a stranger, it's someone you don't know. Like celebrity, it's instant, the interest. This is a great name, Blue 55. Blue 55, R-A-T, hoot. Very disturbing case. Hope it's solved soon. I think we're getting closer. I really do think we're getting closer. If there's any DNA anywhere on the gloves that were inside or outside, and if Nancy's DNA is on one of those gloves that was found outside, then you can connect it to the scene. They're going to check all the databases. If this person has no history, right? If this person has no history, if this is like the first time they're ever the subject of an investigation and a crime, then you're going to go to the next level like they did in Idaho 4, the genetic genealogy.
Right.
And that obviously takes a little bit more time to do, but they're going to get them. They're going to be able to get them. So I don't know if he knows that. I don't know if he thinks he can get away with it. I don't know if he thinks I'll just shave my mustache, I won't get caught. But and what did he do with Nancy? Like, is she being kept somewhere? Is someone else involved in watching her? If she has passed away, what do you do with her body? Has that already been taken care of?
And that's the other point about, how she gets out of the house. If she was indeed deceased, it's much more difficult to get her out than if she can walk at her own strength and get out, even though she did have some health problems and some issues with regards to being able to walk more than 50 yards. But it would be enough to get her out of the household. It's very tragic. It's very sad. And I do hope that we will get more interest in the thousands of other missing people that disappear, yearly. And because there are loved ones that are looking for them and don't have this kind of access.
Right. But,
media.
And then some people take that and turn around on the media and say, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing? Well, there's two things at stake, right? Like there's such incredible demand and from the public for every bit of information on this that's part of the news journey. Like news exists to inform people on things that interest them, things that are important to them. And for people, this story is important to them. People are invested in it, so the coverage continues. Don't get mad at the media. Don't get mad at Savannah Guthrie and her family because this case is getting the coverage. In some of the other cases, for whatever reason, not every story is going to be a national story. But to me, the coverage begins locally, and you've got to, if you are part of the family that is the victim, you need to be out there. You need to be making the noise. You need to be your own best advocate in the case and in the story.
You had mentioned about the fact that maybe today is lucky. February 13th might, Friday the 13th may be a lucky day for us, getting information, finding her or something along those lines. Coincidentally, in this day in history, okay,
Civil War to civil rights and all the revolution fights. World War I and World War II, Al always knows who is who. It's this day in history, this day in history, history. Now let's listen to his story.
All right, so we're just going to do a quick look at this day in history today, just to take a breath and exhale here. Go ahead.
On this day in 1935, Bruno Hauptmann was convicted of kidnapping and red rum of the 20-month-old baby Lindbergh.
Wow.
On this day in 1935, and then of course we know he received the D-pen on that. And there have been people talking about the fact that there's some similarities with regards to this case and the kidnapping of baby Lindbergh. Okay, on this day in 1542, King Henry VIII's fifth wife lost her head as a result of charges of adultery. In 1777, the Marquis de Sade was arrested without a charge in France. He's the father of sadism. And on this day in 2017, in a little town called Delphi, Liberty German and Abigail Williams disappeared.
Wow.
Okay. And so that was on, and we've covered that story numerous times. Richard Allen was eventually convicted and is in prison with regards to saying, but it was on this day in 2017 that these two girls disappeared on that bridge in Delphi, Indiana.
It's unbelievable. So, next year is going to be 10 years. Yep. So Reverk 1404, thank you. Dominic Evans is a dead ringer for the guy in the mask. Same eye set, facial hair. He is a bandmate of Tommaso's, not Tomatoes. That's probably spell check, but Tommaso's. Reverk, again, no suspect has been named. I've got to believe that investigators are looking at anyone close to the family, close to this, etc. But that would likely directly implicate the family. And the only thing I'll say there is that they have not been excluded from what we've seen because investigators have spent time in the sister's neighborhood, and they've also spent time in the sister's home. So, and I say sister, Savannah's sister, the other daughter of Nancy. So I'm sure that's one of the avenues they're looking at. And if it turns out to be, we shall see. I don't know. That guy seems very petite. This person looks like they've got a little more bulk to them, unless they're wearing many layers underneath. But even the shape of the head seems to be someone that's a little more not overweight, but a little more roly poly. Where the other guy, more of a more husky. Did you say
husky? Yes,
a little more husky.
You don't see that anymore. They used to have that at Sears. They used to have the husky
section. Yeah.
Yeah, my brother, when he was younger, used to have to get the husky ones, and then he didn't. And then, anyway, so we'll see. Like, no one's been named as a suspect, and I have to think that the FBI, PEMA, they have different avenues of theories that they're thinking about, but they're also just taking the evidence and seeing where it goes to. The traditional follow the evidence is so important in all of this. Gringa L, when has a ransom ever been paid without proof of life?
The Lindbergh kidnapping was paid without a proof of life.
That was hope of life. Right?
Yeah, that was 1935. $50,000 was paid without proof of life.
Yep. So I mean, you can, that's a personal choice you have to make.
I mentioned last time about J. Paul Getty's grandson, and it was $18 million was what they demanded. They did eventually pay, but he had bargained them down to like $2.7 million, and then paid that and paid it on behalf of his son, whose son had been abducted, and that was after they sent him his ear in a package, and then he required his son to pay him back $2.2 million that he lent.
Unbelievable.
$500,000 that his son had, but the rest, J. Paul Getty required his son to pay back. But he did it without interest, which was nice.
Ashley Bouchard, one of the members of our great mod squad. People call Vinny Bonnie with autocorrect. Autocorrect all the time turns me into Bonnie. Like, why?
Interesting.
Why? I mean, I'm looking at the keyboard, and yes, the V and the B are next to each other. And the O and the I are next to each other. But why doesn't the technology, why doesn't AI recognize Vinny, V-I-N-N-I-E?
Also,
like
autocorrect when I write about you wants you to be spelled with a Y. And they won't let me curse, man. Every time I try to put the F word in, it changes it to like something else repeatedly. You think AI would know me by now. I mean, I don't do this in public. You're broadcaster, so I don't curse in public. But when I'm writing something to somebody, sometimes I want to emphasize what I use it for. And it will change it. It doesn't want me to curse. It thinks I'm naughty.
This is a great one. I owe Columbia House. Like, that could be one of the best of all time. Could be clear.
Like 10 cents, right? Back in those days. It was like
I used to do. I would order from Columbia House and RCA. For people who don't know, you would be a record club, and you get the first batch for like practically nothing. I used to commit like federal crimes as a teenager. I was like 13, and I would have packages showing up at different names in the apartment building, and just order all these records. The statute of limitations, I hope, has expired now.
It has expired, Jonesy. It has. Could be cleared but not announced. Or it could be told personally. I think though, and they don't want to, and I don't think they want to publicly lock themselves into anything either, right? Depending upon unexpected twists and turns. By the way, Gen X, another member of the Mod Squad, showing everybody where you can get merch like this great allegedly hat at the Vinny Originale True Crime Merch Shop. The address is right there, folks. Got some great stuff, Tangenista stuff. We got winter caps. We've got regular baseball caps. We got a whole section of mugs, and we've got Mod Squad swag. Beautiful Mod Squad swag. I love it. All right, let's see.
Some people are jumping on me because they go, well, 1935, what's the big deal? The Lindbergh kidnapping, different time, different technology, everything along those lines. I understand that, folks. Okay. But, in order
Do you understand that?
in order to be a person in history, one must be a student of history. Okay.
Ah,
And we learn lessons from things that happened in the past. So if Lindbergh teaches us anything, get the proof of life before you pay the ransom.
It's the
in other
classic
words,
TV detective thing where the person they show the captive person, the victim, with the newspaper, that day's newspaper in front of them, so you know that they were alive on that day.
Now
yeah.
you're correct. Now, people say, well, AI, you can do this, you can do that, you can do the other thing. That's true, but you can also basically debunk a lot of the AI photographs that come out.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, can you? We're going to have a little competition. I'm going to put up some. Is it AI or not?
Well,
Yep.
also, you could actually just ask her a question that only Nancy would know.
Yes, that's.
Right.
I think Nancy the best proof of life would be Nancy providing something that only the Savannah, Annie, or Cameron would know. The children would know. Here's Daryl 7777. Do you think that his gloves are actually smaller than they appear because they are close to the doorbell cam and the lens is causing distortion? That's a good point. This is definitely distorted here. Here it looks like a boxing.
It looks
yeah,
like
it
a
looks like a
bomb.
boxing glove.
Right. But if you look at the far one, but it does appear puffy. Does it
Yeah.
appear puffy to you even when it's not being distorted? I'll
Yes.
run this. Let me run this through. But the distortion is true. It makes it look like a boxing glove at one point, and it's obviously not a boxing. Like that
Especially
person would be easy to spot.
Especially where his hands are.
Like even in, if we just go back to the beginning here, I'm going to go back to the beginning. Like right here, even there, they look like they're like I think it's possible that there could be a layer underneath, or they could be insulated type of gloves. By the way, the backpack they've identified is available at Walmart.
Right.
It's a Walmart backpack.
It's an exclusive brand for Walmart.
Right. So they're running that down, all the sales of this backpack locally. They're going to go, there's like 17, I think there's 17 Walmarts in the area.
And they'll probably go back 6 months and start looking and seeing who's been buying it. And then those people, you get names go to height, and you can take a look at that, and then you go from there. You now narrow it down.
What I'm wondering is, does he pay with cash?
But they said even if he pays with cash, there is
video.
There's a chance with video that they would be able to get him.
Was he wearing a fake mustache when he purchased the backpack?
Yes. There's a Snidely Whiplash mustache.
Welsh Girl 25 FJ 1 DZ. Thank you. How did he get in? Was there forced entry? There's been mixed reporting on all that. Lots of mixed reporting on that.
And we're not sure.
I don't know. April Diaz 1313 on the 13th. Thank you so much, April Diaz. Happy Friday the 13th. Happy Valentine's Day and weekend to you all. April, we're just not doing the theme songs during this particular broadcast, but thank April Diaz. Wish her the best. Wish her happy. Why don't we on three? We'll give her a nice blow kiss here. You guys ready?
Okay.
Yep.
1, 2, 3. Happy Valentine's Day, April
Just
Diaz.
like on the dating game.
Yes, exactly. So this is, and thank you again, April. Mariska, maybe Cartel doing this to fit into his gang. I don't think he's that sophisticated. Originally I was thinking maybe this was, potentially someone sort of on the, on the fringe of that. But this person, I just think they are like, but as much as I'm criticizing this person as being not so sophisticated, he hasn't been caught.
No, he hasn't been caught. That's for sure.
Right. So I am surprised, but these cases are difficult.
If she were abducted and if she were still with us, could one person even handle that? I mean, it's been weeks, so you got to go like shopping. You got to get her food. You got to take care of her if you're going to truly return her. Um,
There has to be more than one involved if that's the case, I would think.
Right.
And I'm just looking at this guy's actions. He doesn't strike me as someone who would, if she's being held, then we're in ransom mode. We're in kidnapping mode. He doesn't seem like he would be sophisticated enough to send an email that couldn't be traced.
And I don't see
That's
anyone-
what happened. These emails were sent and they have not been traced.
Right.
One person was arrested. That person was traced. That person was charged. Let's put this up. Charisse UL. What do we know about the glove in the house? Thank you, Charisse UL. What do we know about the glove in the house? Nothing. The only reporting is that it went down to Florida for testing. Have you heard anything else, Al?
No, I heard nothing else. And I looked to the last minute before we went on, and there was nothing that's been said about that yet.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
This is probably a great theory right here.
Okay.
I like this theory. All right, let me get us in the right mode here. This guy's not the mastermind. He's just a patsy, right? So he has one role in the whole thing, and he's paid for this one role. And is that possible? He's the one. You're going there. We're going to give you, $500, $1,000, $2,500, whatever. You're going to go in there. You're going to grab this woman. You're going to get her out of the house. You're going to bring her to this location, and then your work is done.
The dangerous thing is that a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and when you have a patsy involved, that's the weakest link. So, I mean, I don't necessarily think that would be the situation. I mean, I do agree that there had to be more than one person involved in this, okay, and that so conceivably they could, the guy that's the mastermind, and this is just the guy who's the doer, but
the mastermind's not smart either. If you're asking for it in Bitcoin,
right, that's the problem. That's why I am thoroughly.
So maybe it's Dumb and Dumber.
Thoroughly of the opinion that this was not a legitimate letter.
Right.
Ransom
If this
letter.
is a kidnapping for ransom, and that was the whole plan going in, and that was the motive, and that is what this is what we're looking at. They've done nothing right almost.
No,
Except get away with it to this point. They haven't gotten the money, but they've gotten away with the breaking and entering and the abduction.
No one puts a ransom note 2 days, 41 minutes. You're in there. You could write the damn note, for God's sake. Okay, you could write a chapter of the ransom note in 41 minutes, sitting there, and nothing was done. Nothing was left. It doesn't come till 2 days later, and it goes to what? A network and TMZ. Okay, right there, it just sends up my this doesn't make sense, and this can't be real flag.
Yeah. Mary Dean 370, how come they want footage from the 11th and the 31st? There's some connection that they're seeing. Maybe it's a vehicle in the neighborhood, and they want to see if they can capture someone walking back and forth to the vehicle, or catch a license plate or something. I think it's a suspicious vehicle.
It was.
We don't know.
That my understanding was that there was a van, a white van or something along those lines that was seen in the area, that someone mentioned that, and it would be in that time frame. So that's why they're looking at that point, which makes perfect sense.
Nicole, this is Nicole Leray.
Oh,
is that Nicole Leray 3352? Vinny, I've watched crime unfold with you for 20 plus years. Nicole Leray began watching when she was like 10 years old. Right?
Like me.
Okay. How I wish we had super chats during Scott Peterson, Michael Peterson trials. So what do you three think about the Nest camera audio? Oh, do we want to play the audio of that? Let me see if I've got it. Let me see. One of these videos I have has it, so I could play it for you. But thank you, Nicole Ray 3352. Let me see if I can grab one of these. I don't know which one's going to have it. Please stand by. Please stand by. Let's try this one.
Please stand up. Please stand up.
That one has no audio on it. Let me try another one. Some of these images that I've grabbed may not have the audio.
Well,
yeah, it's not. Unfortunately, Nicole Ray, or Nicole Ree. Nicolere. We do not have that audio, so I cannot play it for the guys. I cannot play it for the guys. I'll try one more. Let me try this one. Yeah, we're not getting the audio.
Well, what was your opinion of it? I mean, you heard it. I heard it. What's your opinion on?
I'm not taking much from it.
It's the same thing with me. I didn't think there was really anything there.
But we'll take another listen. All right. I'm going to make sure we get to everybody here. All right, Nicola Ray, throwing it out there on 47. All right. Very good.
I wish I was 47.
All right, Al, you want to answer this one? Why would the sheriff send to Florida perhaps financial benefit for him, allegedly?
I don't think it's that. I think that they have a relationship with that and that they've gotten results. And the FBI has already said it's okay, fine. I think if that was the situation, that it was going to be a kickback, that the FBI would have handled things a little bit differently.
Okay. And there's great private companies doing this work.
There's tremendous private companies. In fact, to be honest with you, it's like the private companies that have kind of broken the lid on a number of different situations.
The only thing, down the road, if you look down the road, time for if there's an arrest and there's a prosecution in a case, I think it makes things a little bit more complicated when it goes out for that sort of thing. But hopefully they follow all the proper protocols, chain of custody, and everything else, because you may very well need that evidence at the end of the day.
Correct.
So that's the one thing about the FBI and Quantico and everything. They're going to have the protocols in place so you can use that evidence at trial. But these companies do this regularly, so right. I think they'll be fine.
And if they've been used before with law enforcement, they know the protocols, okay? They know it's got to be logged in, logged out, this, that, the other thing. So, I mean, all of that is protected under the circumstances. A lot of municipalities can't afford to have their own type of lab. And Quantico, I mean, obviously is phenomenal. But, Quantico also has a lot more going on than just this case.
They do, but there's a lot of pressure to work on this one, so it can be
no doubt, but
prioritized.
Nonetheless,
it can be prioritized. So we got to wrap things up here, and in just a couple of moments, I have some afternoon meetings, and that's going on here. So thank you, everyone who's been watching. Thank you for all the super chats, and thank you, of course, to our great mod squad, Gen X, Frankie Figs, Jennifer Soubey, and Ashley Bouchard. Keeping law and order in the chats. We have the nicest chatters, so that's good. Al, where can folks find you, Albert H. Wunsch III, Esquire?
Present. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I will be on Monday night, I believe, with Vinnie Politan on Closing Arguments from 8 to 9, where I usually am on Monday. On the 18th, I will be in Ridgewood on a book.
Ridgewood where? New Jersey?
New Jersey, with a interview of Andrew Yang, who's got a new book out called Hey Yang, Where's My $1,000? So it will be an interview of a man that ran for president, ran for the mayor of New York, and is involved in a number of different entrepreneurial charity organizations. So it's a book about, what's gone on since his presidential run in 2020. And other than that, I'll be watching all of this going on with the Guthrie family and keeping my fingers crossed that she comes home safely.
All right.
Jonesy. Hasta la vista, Los Angelistas.
Indeed. Jonesy, where can folks find the radio legend?
I can be found up and down the AM and FM dial, streamed and archived, the whole shebang. The best way to find the schedule is to go to glennjones.net. Glenn with one N, as mommy intended it to be.
Fantastic. And of course, you can find me on your front row seat to justice, Court TV, ladies and gentlemen, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10, 2 hours of live true crime, 2 hours of live true crime, 8 to 9, closing arguments with Vinnie Politan. And then 9 to 10, the deep dive. Vinnie Politan investigates. All right. So I think
Vin, can I just add one thing?
Oh, wait, there's more. Go ahead.
One thing that I think is interesting that a lot of people are going to know with regards to this day in history. In the year 2000, the final original Peanuts comic strip by Charles M. Schulz was published one day after his death. So that was on this day in the year 2000. And I know there's got to be a lot of Snoopy fans out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Love Snoopy. Love Snoopy. I love the music. I thought they had great music in that.
Sure.
But that's it. Say goodnight, Jonesy.
Good night, Jonesy.
Somebody say podcast, podcast. Tangent, tangent. Podcast, podcast. This is the Tangent Podcast. Good night, everyone. Good night. Thank you for all your support. We are the Tangent True Crime Podcast. We'll see you